Hello everyone and welcome back to the next lesson of our Java course. So in previous lesson we talked about the switch statement in Java and how they can be a good alternate of using a if and else statement. And this is actually a good alternate when you have a multiple if and else condition because they make your code a little bit hard to read. And switch statement is a good alternate in terms of making the code more readable, more structured, right? So there has been a lot of improvement in Java, especially in some of the recent releases that happened in Java. So they have done quite a few improvement onto the switch. So if you have not watched the earlier video and if you are just starting with those one, I highly recommend that you basically watch that previous video, and I have added a link to the video in the description. All right. Now, before we dive into the more details, there are few improvements that happen. Number one is the switch expression. All right, and I'm going to talk about that as well. So that is number one. There is a more cleaner syntax that has been added, and they call it as an arrow syntax. So instead of having these multiple like break statement and other things, there is a more cleaner solution for that one. I'm going to talk about that one. And the other one is earlier you have a different cases, for example case 1, case 2, case 3, so and so forth, right? You cannot combine saying for case 1 what happened is, let's say if you have a same set of a logic you want to execute for case 1 and case 2, so you cannot combine those one. You cannot have a multiple labels for a cases, right? But with this improvement you can have a multiple labels. For example, you know that for my label 1, 3, 5 and 7 you want to have a same set of a logic, and for all the even case numbers you want to have the same set of logic. So what you can do with this improvement is you can combine those one and you can have those multiple labels for a cases, and I'm gonna have a more detailed explanation on those one. All right, so in order to understand this one, right, what we gonna do is let's take a look into a traditional switch example. All right, so think about that you are into a restaurant and you want to order a meal, right? And there are certain numbers, for example number 1, number 2, and based upon your selections you are basically telling the restaurant that what kind of a meal you are interested. Say if you press 1 it's a pizza, if you press 2 it's a burger, so and so forth, right? So this is how our traditional switch statement will look like, right? This is how the typical switch statement looks like in this case, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna convert this one to a new syntax, right? So number one on R1 is a switch expression with the arrow syntax, right? Okay, so if you see here, right, what's happening is with every case we have this code, right, which is our logic, right? And when we will understand about the functions and other things, we're gonna enhance that one. But the whole idea is if your case 1 is matching, then whatever is there under case 1 will be executed. Then there is a break statement. Break statement will hold the execution so that no next things will be executed, right? So instead of this one, there is a little bit better syntax, right? So I'm gonna change that one. So everything will remain same, and I'm gonna say order. Okay. Okay. Now in this case one, what we're gonna do is instead of this system, this one, we're gonna use this arrow syntax. All right. Okay, and you don't have to add a break statement. Similarly and then for the default it's same. You basically have to say something like this. Okay, and I don't need this one. All right, the other thing which you have to do with this new syntax is you have to add a semicolon on this one. Okay, now if I print this one, let's say, no, I don't need to print a menu option, I need to print this one. All right, now let's run this program. So since our selection was number 2, it say you have ordered a burger. Now there are quite a few things, there are changes, some of the changes that happened, right? And I'm going to talk about this. Number 1 is this one, right? Now the code has become a little bit more impact. You don't have to add a break statement, number 1, right? That's there. Number 2 is, if you see here, the code has become a little bit more readable, correct? Okay. Number 3 is, even if you have not added a switch statement, even if I run this program, it's only picking the specific options. In our earlier case, if you don't add a break statement, what is going to happen is anything, it will keep on executing until it basically get the next break statement. That's where it stops, right? We saw that in our previous video. So there are quite a few changes. Now there is another interesting change which I basically just I was not explaining it earlier, is the return value from the switch, right? So in your classic switch statement, right, we need a variable outside of the block and set it manually, right? So for example, if I have to change it to a traditional switch statement, right? Let me do that again. Okay, for example, in this case, and let's say I have to basically print these values what you are selecting. So what I have to do is I have to basically say string output. Okay, and let's say I'm gonna put that default value, please select something, right? And then and then you have to go here and then you say output is equal to pizza. Okay, like this, and so forth, right? So you have to add that return value onto the each of these cases, and then you can use this value. Not a very elegant solution for those one, right? Okay, let's remove this one. But with this one, with the new syntax, right, if you look into this one, right, we have a return statement. I have added that, and this is an implicit return statement. What it means is, it basically, for example, we are not returning anything, but these arrow syntax are telling me that, okay, if the case 2 matches, return this value and assign this value to the order. So when you are printing this one, for example, I will say 111. If I return this one, it say you order a burger 111, right? So you don't have to explicitly do anything, but now there is a way where it automatically return the value and you can capture that value. If you don't do this with new syntax, let's say you don't add this return value, right? What is going to happen is everything will start falling out. It's not a statement, right? It's a return in itself, right? It's an expression. Okay, so I'm gonna put it back. And this is super useful, especially when we are going to talk about the functional programming and few other things, right? So this is a sort of I think they are going towards the functional programming, and that is one of few of the cases where they also kind of aligning the code to the functional programming. And the other thing which is, I think, which we all are agree, is the cleaner logic in this one, right? You don't have to do a lot of things here. All right, now there is another improvement that has happened, which is the multiple labels for our cases, right? Now if you remember in our previous discussion about the switch statement, you have to create a cases for each and everything, and then there will be a default case, right? But with this enhancement, what is happening is now you can have a multiple labels, and you can have a same set of a logic for those multiple labels, right? So let's take example. I'm gonna switch it. So if you remember in our previous lesson, we talked about the days of the week, right? If they are the weekdays, we say we have to work, for example, right? If it is a weekend, we say it's a time to relax. Now if traditionally I have to write that switch statement, I have to write case 1 is Monday, work. Case 2, Tuesday, work. Case 3, Wednesday, work, right? So and so forth. But the thing here is, from Monday to Friday, we have the same logic which says work. And for Saturday and Sunday, we have the same logic which says relax, right? So instead of writing those multiple cases, I can basically make it a little bit easier, right? So let's change this one. For example, now I'll say day is equal to this one, okay, and I'm gonna change it to day. And then what I can do is I will say case 1, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, right? So now if you look into this one, and let's say if I run this one, number 1, right? If you run this one, it's a number 2, which is it's a weekday, let's work. Now the point here is, if you look into this, right, number 1 is there is a no duplicate code, right? And we talked about that one. That is number 1. The code is more concise, correct? And the number 3rd is you don't have to repeat the code. So for example, if you are running that logic, you don't have to write that logic again and again and again, right? So you are combining those one, and you are basically saying, okay, for this group of cases, this is my common logic. All right. Just to sum up, in the new switch statements, the switch expressions are let you return the values number 1. There is an arrow syntax that simplifies the cases, right? And then we can have the multiple levels to reduce our redundancy, right? If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Please share this channel with others. And thanks for watching. See you in the next video.